Welcome back, guys. We are the Trauma Guys. I'm Lee,
I'm Fayaz.
and we're going to talk a little bit about the UFC through this week. They have gave us some great fights for the whole week. Now, we're not going to go over every fight from the pay-per-view on 249 last Saturday to Wednesday's fights to last night's fights. We're just going to kind of go over some of the fights that we really stuck out to us, really were a big part of what it was. We enjoyed all of it, and it was good to have fights back and something to do.
It was so nice. It was, man, it was so awesome. You could hear every lick. You could hear him breathing. You could hear him screaming. It almost reminded me of old Pride fights, man. You know, I think we've talked about this before, but it reminded me of watching Pride fights, you know, but except the difference was in Japan, the crowd was actually there. They were just reveling in the moment. But you could hear the corners and you know, just it was just cool, man, to see some competition back on the TV again, right?
Yeah. So one of the fights that stuck out to me from the pay-per-view was the Francis Ngannou. It wasn't very long. It was pretty short and to the point. But the part that stuck out to me most is that this guy called him out in his last fight because he wanted to fight him. And he felt kind of disrespected for the fact that you just called me out. You know, it was one of your first fights out. And so he kind of put him into his place. It was immediately that bell rang.
That bell rang in two different fashions. That bell rang to start the round, and then Rosenstruck's bell rang. And he woke up before the round was over.
Yeah, so he was out when he hit that fence and started driving down. I don't know how many more times Ngannou hit him before the referee got in between, but that was one of my fights that really stuck out for me for the night. One of them for that night that was really really good fight that stood out.
Yeah, you know, I can't really pick a fight on that card, man. Top to bottom, and everybody came out and threw down on that card. I don't know if it was just pinked up anxiety, you know, wanting to get it out there, or just wanting to get because they hadn't had a chance to earn, because a lot of those guys, that's what they do. That's their livelihood. But they went out there and they just, you know, they finished out the night. I think the Dominic Cruz fight could have went a little bit longer. Henry Cejudo retiring was just...
that was a big one, too.
Off the wall, kind of crazy, because I think, you know, there's still more that guy could do, for sure.
Yeah. Well, in that fight also, we both kept saying, he keeps ducking in like that, and he's going to get caught with that knee, because every time he came in, he was throwing this knee for every single thing. If you watch that fight, every time he got close and he came in, he brought that knee up.
He threw that knee.
Yeah, and he caught him as he was swinging that head through.
I'm a huge Dominic Cruz fan, man. His footwork and, you know, the way he fights is awkward, and it's really cool. But he ducked into that knee, man. I just knew it. The way he was ducking out, it just looked like he could get caught. And
you got to watch real closely about that. When he got hit with that knee, he got hit stupid, where he was doing the he was hitting. You have to watch it real close, because his face was that as he was hitting the floor.
He did.
He got knocked completely stupid. And
not alcohol, by the way.
No.
But,
and even though he thought he was okay and he wanted to argue about it, there was 11 shots that he didn't answer for, and that's why he got stopped. I mean, it depends on the referee and where the referee's at. Some people, he could have gone. I get that. But if the referee feels it's to his discretion to decide whether or not that person can take care of themselves or not.
Yeah, you know what? I think they should. I think for a title fight, you got to get it. You got to get a better rep. I mean, you got to get you got to get one of your, you know, more well-known guys to do the title fights. I mean, sure of course the ref's heart's always in the right place, but to me, Dominic Cruz was still moving. Yeah, he was getting hit, but he was still moving and he was getting up. So I've seen fights, you know, go on longer for less. You know what I mean?
I understand as well. But like I said, it's
for worse things. Sorry,
but we've also had times when people have gotten on the referees for letting stuff go too long or not letting it go long enough.
That's true.
So it's damned if you do and if you don't.
Right.
So it's got to be.
It's true.
And you
But,
have to just
for
do
a
your
title
job.
fight, you gotta give the guy the doubt a little bit. Is all I'm saying. But anyway, regardless, Henry Cejudo did his job. Came out there, looked awesome, and pulled it off, and then retired and rode off into the sunset with 3 straps. Hey, good for you. And obviously the third one being his gold medal. But but man, that's an accomplished guy right there, man. I mean, that's just some cool stuff. I don't know why he retired. I'm not sure.
Well, what he said also, he had shoulder surgery not too long before this fight. He also said since he was 9 years old, all he's ever done is compete.
Yeah.
He wanted some time to be a little bit of a family man because all he's ever done is compete since he was 9 years old.
And who knows? Who knows? Maybe they throw somebody throws a bunch of money at him, and he comes back. But we don't know. But until we see him, we'll move on. Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje fought the perfect fight for Tony Ferguson. He stayed composed. He didn't get into a knockdown, drag-out brawl like he always does. He really took that opportunity to heart, right? And now he's going to get a title shot. At least he better get a title. You know what, man? He better get a title shot against Khabib. He's got to. You got to give it to that guy. It can't just be, hey, it can't just be, hey, Conor McGregor gets to fight him next, because you can't go on and do that. Why even have a belt at that point if you're just going to do that? Why even do an interim belt, right? Because interim belt should be right next in line.
Well, then you become like boxing.
Yeah.
Where there's 900 belts and a guy walks in the ring and he's holding 30 straps.
And
he gets knocked out by a guy.
Regardless,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's kind of weird. So hopefully Gaethje gets a title shot on that end, and hopefully he prepares really hard for a grappler. Props to Tony Ferguson, man. Stayed tough, stayed strong. Just couldn't put it together in that fight. But El Cucuy will be back. I'm always going to be a fan of that guy. Moving on, they also did a couple of shows during the week, and I'm just gonna, just so we don't go on too long with it, I'm gonna go just to the main events.
Yes.
Okay, on those. So we'll go Anthony Smith and Glover Teixeira, and let's chalk one up for the old guys. Man.
Yeah.
Glover Teixeira, man. God, Glover Teixeira. I did not think that fight was going to go that way. Did you?
No, I did not. I didn't think it was going to go that long. The first round was a really Anthony Smith was looking really good actually in the first round, but on that second round and everything else, may have pretty much went downhill from there for him, because Glover came out and it was just like, I guess from him fighting as long as he had and his age, a lot of times that experience also builds a lot of patience.
Yeah.
You can suffer a storm for a while and have a tendency to sometimes come back. And I think at that moment he just had what it took, and he overtook him. He beat him till they had to finally stop the fight.
Yeah, and I think the fight went on a little too long.
Yeah.
At no point did I think Anthony Smith, don't get me wrong, Anthony Smith fought the whole time, right? He kept trying to pull guard. He kept trying to, do whatever he could, to make it work. But he couldn't bring it together, and he was taking a lot of damage, a lot of headshots, a lot of and it was just, at a certain point, man, your corner's got to say, hey, look, man, it's just not working out, man, let's stop. That could take miles off your career.
Yes, big time.
He's 31 years old, right? He's 31 years old, because then you can't say, well, your career's almost over. You can't. Not when you look at guys like Glover. The guy's 40, you know what I mean? And look at the way he performs. But that could take miles off your career. I mean, you get to a point where you can't take shots anymore, man. When things like that start to happen. And at one point, he went back to his corner, and he said, man, I think it's something to the effect of, it feels like my teeth are falling out.
Oh, they were. They said they had to take some of them.
One of them actually did come out, I think.
Yeah.
And, man, I think you got to, at that point, you just got to say that was his way of going, look, I don't want to stop, but it's pretty bad right now. I'm pretty busted up, and I don't think I'm coming out of this on the good end. So, If you guys want to stop it, I'm okay with it.
So,
but I'm not going to tell you to stop it. But I think you guys could probably make a better decision on my behalf. And I guess maybe they didn't pick up on it. They weren't really. I don't know if they just didn't pick up on the little nuances, the smallest things he was saying. But I don't think Anthony Smith had to go out and get finished. He probably could. They could have just called it in the corner at the fourth round. Maybe just did.
Yeah, they could have.
He was just in a bad way, man. You know?
And I feel like sometimes.
And that guy's a really great fighter.
Yeah, I sometimes and everybody wants to finish, and even in boxing, everybody wants to fight. You guys, a fighter doesn't want to quit. If a fighter quits, that's just who he is. But when he's beat, and you know it, and you're his corner, it's okay, I think, to stop something.
Yeah.
Because all you're going to do is see a person get worse, injured down the road, and things can slowly build up, and it can cause long-term damage as well. Guys, I get fighting the Warriors.
It's going to cause it's causing long-term damage anyway. I mean, why make it worse quickly, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta be able to call that and realize when somebody just can't finish.
Yeah. And so I think, on that end, it was kind of a bad job corner, but, hey, I'm not in there. I don't know what they're listening to. I don't know what they hear. Right? I don't know what they see when they look into Anthony Smith's eyes. All I'm doing is I'm a viewer, right? So that's just my opinion. I'm a viewer. I'm looking at it from the outside looking in, and I'm thinking you can't go anymore. You can't and you shouldn't. He was taking a lot of damage. But you could also wind that up to Herzog. He was giving him the benefit of the doubt a lot of times. He did.
And again, that's one of those ref things where the ref should have stopped it a little sooner than he did.
But
he did
the right thing in the fifth round.
Yes.
He did the right thing in the fifth round, when he was just getting beat, and finally he said, "Oh no, we're done." And I said, "Well, thank God that fight stopped." And Glover was probably thinking the same thing. Like, hey man,
I can't hit this guy anymore.
Hey, can we call this, man? My hands are starting to hurt. I've hit this guy too much. I'm joking, but but great fight. Not what I expected, man. Props to Glover Teixeira. And hope Anthony Smith heals up well. Hope both those guys heal up well. They both took some damage, but Anthony Smith probably took the worst of it, obviously. Moving on to last night's card. We'll go with it. Let's go to the main event on that one, and then I got one other one I want to discuss. There's a couple on that card I do want to just bring up, make a mention of. Angela Hill, Claudia Gadelha, great fight. Horrible decision. I think Angela Hill wins that fight all day long. I don't know. I'm not sure what the judges missed on that one, but to me, she won that fight. Props to both of them again, man. Great fight, but I think Angela Hill edged her out. And then, another one that stood out to me was Barbosa, dropping down to 145 pounds, man. And Dan Ige, and man, it was a close fight, but I don't think a takedown with a minute left to go in a round wins you a fight. Not after you're taking the brunt of the damage. Now, they were both taking damage. I just think Barbosa won that fight, man. I just think he edged him out a little bit more. So I think that was a bad decision too, man. There was a few last night. Main event, Alistair Overeem. Wall Harris, right? We got to see old school Alistair Overeem last night, man.
Well, it was a little bit of new.
It was a
little bit of new.
He finished old school, but you're right.
Yes.
It was mostly new school. We got to see a different side of Alistair Overeem, man. We got to see him wrestle. We got to see him
do jiu-jitsu. He was actually moving on the floor.
Grappling exchange, ground control, right? And try to go for submissions too. So a completely different side of Alistair Overeem.
Completely.
Which was so awesome.
It was good to see.
And I think that led to him actually being able to set up that head kick there at the end, because when you're thinking one thing, right? Wall Harris is thinking one thing, and he catches the leg upside the head.
Well, I think the whole thing is, for the longest time, Alistair was scared to go to the ground. Even though he was learning it, he wasn't comfortable with whoever was working with him, wasn't making it comfortable for him. Somewhere along the line, he just did never feel like that was his comfort zone. And last night was the first time he ever looked comfortable doing anything on the floor.
Yeah.
At all. And he got rocked the first part of the round.
Yeah.
And he fought through it, which usually wouldn't happen in an Alistair Overeem fight. He's either getting knocked out or he's knocking somebody out. That's it.
And he fought through it. He fought through it using some great wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Which is completely unexpected with Alistair Overeem, man, because to me, I'm thinking, oh, man.
Again, this is it. He's getting knocked out again. This is over.
I thought he was going to be done, but he recovered. He pulls, the ref gave him the benefit of the doubt. He pulls guard, wraps the leg up. Wall Harris has to pull out. Dude ends up on his back. He sits out and turns. I loved it. Just all things I'd never really ever seen.
I'd never seen him
from Alistair Overeem, man. Where's that been for the last 3 or 4 years? Like, why weren't we doing that 3 or 4 years ago, man? It's crazy. He's just new stuff to his game, more well-rounded, and to finish K1 style with that head kick, man, whack is just beautiful, man. It was vintage Alistair Overeem. Finished with the ground control, pound him out. I mean, it was a great fight, man. I really enjoyed that fight, man. And heavyweights, all you expect it to be is just a knockdown, drag out swing fest, but
it was much
ended up
better
being
than that.
Something different.
All right, so that's our review of the UFC for the week. There's a lot more fights in there, but we just kind of wanted to pick and choose a little bit that we were thinking about. It was great to have fights back, and again, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button, give us a like, a thumbs up. Also, give us a comment. Let us know what you think, what you thought about those fights. Is there anything you would like us to check out or go over? We'd be more than happy to. Until next time, we are the Trauma Guys. I'm Lee.
I'm Fayaz.
Later.